Thanks for staying with us. You're welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Well, we are now being joined from Arise Abuja studios by Segun Sowunmi, a member of the People's Democratic Party, who actually served as National Publicity Secretary of the party for some house-clearing discussion around the long-running crisis that has affected his ability to reposition ahead of the 2027 elections. Good morning and welcome to the morning show, Mr. Segun Sowunmi.
Good morning, Steve, my man. But let me correct you quickly. I've never served as their National Publicity Secretary. There's no way I would have served as National Publicity Secretary of PDP and it would resemble that. Narrative would have been better. What I did was I was the spokesperson for His Excellency Atiku Abubakar, 2 elections back-to-back. I've been many other things, but not their National Publicity Secretary, Steve. It would have been different completely. How are you?
Very well. Good to hear from you. Thank you. Thanks for the clarification. All right, let's talk about your party. Right. Particularly the issues that are germane now. The issue affecting the General Secretary. We see, of course, that the governors, 12 of them, converged in Delta in Asaba, a couple of days ago, and came out with a number of resolutions. But then we're also hearing that in spite of the fact that the governors are queuing behind one of the factions to the General Secretaryship, who is Sunday Udeokwe. Now, the other gentleman, Senator Samuel Anyanwu, is insisting that he's still the General Secretary. And as a matter of fact, he has petitioned the Inspector General of Police. Do you think that peace is nigh, or are we to witness yet another round of confusion within the PDP?
Oh, Steve, my man. Oji, I greet you too.
Good morning.
Steve, I really would have preferred that this was not the type of question you asked me. Why? Because I know Sam Daddy very well, is my good friend, and I know Ude Okoye very, very well, is my good friend. And really, ordinarily, I will not be interested in what they're doing for now until the matter is fully settled. But having said that, let me try and speak to you as to what the procedure ought to be. Most people don't understand that there's a marked difference between a convention that produces the National Working Committee of the party and their private wishes. A convention brings all the cells from all over the country together and within our laws to take a position. Now, if anything is going to affect anybody that was conventionally installed, it has to complete its route through the courts. Unless, of course, the fellow is magnanimous enough to let it go his rights. To make the point very clear, you'll recall that when we were running the 2023 election, there was a time when there was a lot of conversation that IU, the then chairman, should step aside since we now had an Atiku Northern president and an IU Northern chairman. They couldn't get it done until they went to the court and exhausted themselves in court, and then it became a fait accompli. Now, then they moved to the point where they said, oh, they wanted the Damagun acting chairman to leave the place so that they can replace him with somebody from the North Central. Up till now, it's still not done because he has a legitimate line from a convention. Now we are now at the point where they are saying, okay, there is a gathering in Enugu where they said they have a vote of confidence on Ude Okoye and they want him to be secretary. Unfortunately, the rights you have can also be challenged in court. Wanyanwu has stuck to his gun and he has gone to court to say, look, I am legitimately vice secretary. The law allows me to go and run chairman and come back to my seat because that's the position of the Constitution. Okay, you have gone to the Court of Appeal to say, oh, the Court of Appeal is affirming what the High Court in Enugu has done. But please, can I ask you, is the Court of Appeal the final court in this matter? Now, they are going to the Supreme Court. So I believe that the best thing would be for the PDP people to understand that what is there to be gained in insisting that you want to struggle for 100% of zero, and what is to be gained in people saying they don't want you and you insisting you want to stay. You know, it's a laughable situation. It's a pitiable situation. It's a draining situation. It's an extremely sad situation. But I always say, if they don't have, the leaders that are masquerading as PDP leaders now don't have capacity. And I said that with every sense of responsibility. We lost the election in 2015. And the vice president, the then President Jonathan, of course, will be dealing with post-election issues. And almost all our followers or leaders were running issues with EFCC and all that. But the party did not start looking like this. Some men provided leadership in a robust manner, persuading people at the back, doing whatever they could to keep the party together. We have lost an election in 2023, miserably, and post-2023, those who are calling themselves leaders of the party are incapable of stabilizing the house. They should go through it. When we get to the Supreme Court on Anyanwu's case, we'll go to Supreme Court on Damagun. Maybe then we'll find another person to start quarreling with. Then we'll go to the Supreme Court on that. By the time we had finished dancing all over the Supreme Court, back and forth, maybe by then the election will be over, and then they will then ask themselves, all this nonsense that they are doing is for what end and to what purpose?
All right. Segun, nice to have you on the morning show. I mean, I believe that Steve had asked you a question.
Thank you,
do you believe that peace has been restored within your party following this confirmation of Okoye as the national secretary? And I ask again because, unfortunately, Segun, many Nigerians have lost hope in the PDP as a strong opposition. Only last year we saw that, you know, the governors who are said to be the major financiers of the party were talking about wanting to seize the party structure and challenge Atiku Abubakar and Wike. I mean, whatever happened to that struggle? And, you know, there's been a lot of talks about, you know, this sort of rumored coalition. I'd like to know your thoughts on all of these.
You know, he who is mostly vilified, and if you like, whom when you mention his name, you are accused of having been funded by him, it is his role in the party over the years that is now clearly becoming a gaping hole. I've always said that Nyesom Wike is the Achilles, the key man risk. If you are a finance person or a consultant or somebody that is in management, you'll understand what they call a key man risk. A key man risk is that one person that his functionality and well-being impacts your organization one way or the other. And I've concluded without any reservation and no apologies to anybody that Wike is a key man risk of the PDP. Had he been functioning in the PDP the way they had known him, I can guarantee you all of these things going on, he would have found a way, whether dancing, bribing, begging, speaking, bullying, to stabilize them. His absence is clearly a question of if he didn't day, he didn't day. Now, as peace returned to the party, how could peace have returned to the party when, let me tell you something that interests you. The BOT leadership sat in Enugu with all of the Southeastern leaders. They affirmed Okoye. Yet, they were invited to a meeting in Wadata House that had Awanyan, whom they say they don't want, seated there. They watched Okoye get bullied out of the place, and yet they did not protest. They didn't leave the place. They sat down there. They completed the meeting. They gave a communique. So you get the impression that the elders have become like children who don't have the capability and the strength of character to say, this is our position, and we're standing by it. And then what do you want the party to do? The members, people like us that are passionate members of the party, slowly but gradually, we're beginning to accept the reality that it's almost a nunc dimittis. If you have ever lost a parent or a loved one that is elderly, you know that process when they go to the hospital, you are visiting them every day, and sometimes you get to a point where you just know that, okay, you can't strangle them, you can't kill them, you don't want them to put up the oxygen, but you know that you're going to come and they're going to tell you that it's all over. That's what the BDP is doing to itself. It's in an ICT intensive care. It's blaming everybody but itself. We have blamed the president for even taking Wike. We have not blamed ourselves for not having someone that has the balls and the capacity to reverse the process. We have blamed other people for causing problems that we're the ones causing ourselves, or they are the ones causing themselves. We have blamed, we're going to do a united merger, a merger that does not give you the powers to deregister the PDP or to deregister any of the other party. So my sister, my brother, Steve, my man, I think that I've accepted that everything that has a beginning can sometimes have an end. My hope is that maybe by us speaking some truth to them, they can take a halt and ask themselves that really what is the problem? And my consolation, if there be any, is that the crisis is only at the top. The baseline of the party at the ward level is a bit stable. The party at the local government level is stable. The party at the states, in most of the states, is stable. The party in the zones, minus a little bit of the issues in the southeast, is a bit stable. We're not having any problem in the zone of the southwest. We're not having in the south. We don't really have any major problem in the north central, northeast, and northwest. So maybe the only problem we have is in the NWC. And then you look at the NWC itself. Perhaps we should say the only issue we have is maybe the top two. We don't seem to have any problem with the national organizing. We don't really have any problem with the publicity and all the others. So if they can recognize that you can't continue like this in an election, in a situation when we have lost 3 elections back to back, blaming everybody except ourselves, I think we will be okay. But those who want to leave the party, who are tired and think that maybe they can do some amalgamation of decamping that they are calling merger, they should just decamp and let the party have peace. If some of them even live to this, their so-called merger process, maybe we'll be able to see who is left. Maybe the ones that will be left will be like orphans who will then know that their fathers and mothers are dead and they now have to, on their own energy, move themselves forward. But something has to give. It's nasty because it's giving the whole country and the democratic conversation in the country, is making it look untidy. It's making it look uninspiring. It's wearing out all the young people in the country and people that are potential voters. For a nation where people don't even turn up to vote because they don't have real clear choices, do you expect the oldest, one of the most stable, one of the most consistent, one of the most democratic party to be managed by kindergartens? Of course, if he didn't dare, he didn't dare.